What's going on, everybody? Non here, and it's time for another Pokemon and Magic the Gathering distribution update. So I figured we'd change it up this week. We've been using the magazine exchange site for a couple months now, so let's go to Southern Hobby. And this is obviously there's no pricing here. This is the public site, and I know people are like, "Well, how come you only show magazine exchange?" Maybe we'll mix it up from week to week, just so people get a little bit of variety. So this is our Magic page, and here you can see. We have we can go through the different SKUs. So you have Tarkir, obviously coming out on the 11th. So WPN stores are going to get their product next week. Um, and the weekend after, it's kind of gonna be game on. Oh, by the way, hopefully everybody survived Journey Together release weekend. It seemed to have gone off relatively well. It seems like the price point is kind of purgatory, where all the scalpers are getting their faces ripped off and the prices aren't too expensive. I mean, they're expensive, don't get me wrong. Don't jump down my throat, but yeah, it's not like the boxes went to $300. And packs in local stores are available, and it's not an ideal situation, but it's a much better situation than what could have been. So anyway, so going back to this, we have the Marvel Secret Lair, the WPN store only. So we have those coming in um, on the 25th. And then we go to Final Fantasy. And here, I've been saying this the entire time, and now you can see it. So the orders are due on April 30th. They did ask for an early indication. This was over a month ago. But this doesn't come out until 6/13. So I think I mentioned you guys. Um, I didn't mention you guys, but looks like Magazine Exchange did a super early allocation, and I would assume there's going to be a second wave coming there. I'm just not sure. So it'll be interesting. I've not heard any allocation numbers whatsoever from other distributors. I wouldn't expect them to, just because of this release date. Uh, so moving on, we can see the gift bundle, and this is the one that everybody's kind of looking at this and saying it's going to be the same as the Lord of the Rings holiday bundle. It's not going to be. So just stop. Um, Nothing's ever going to top that because people are going to expect it. So, moving to the rest, and again, these are all open for order right now. Now, even though the dates are staggered, everything's open. So, you know, Hasbro's really gone to print to demand on this stuff because I think they want to blow out their 2025. They all want to get their bonuses. Hey, they don't give a single fuck if the game burns to the ground. That's my thought. And again, if any of you guys have been paying attention to Amazon with Tarkir doing extremely well, Hasbro's been undercutting the market by like $50, $60 between play boosters, commander displays, individual commander decks, and collector boxes because they're going to miss their Q1. And if they don't miss their Q1, they've dumped all this inventory out. There's not going to be anything left. So Tarkir, when it comes out, assuming it doesn't flop, and it's probably 99.9% not going to, it's going to be primed to take off like a rocket ship because Hasbro's dumped all of their back stock to try to hit their Q1 because, quite honestly, not the most competent bunch in the world, and they don't give a shit about Magic the Gathering. They just give a shit about money and their bonuses, and you know, the rest of us are what we are. So anyway, that being said, collector boosters, Aether Drift still available. In most distributors, has kind of been dead at this point. Uh, Innistrad Remastered is moving a little bit, hit or miss. Probably 15, maybe 20 boxes a week. On TCG Player, that'll be one of those products that's dead money until it's not. One thing I do want to point out is the Duskborn Collector display reprint. I'm sorry, Commander display reprint. Looks like it's coming next week or the week after. Some distributors have confirmed numbers, others haven't yet, but it looks like that is super heavily allocated. So I can't imagine it's going to have a huge impact on market. I know the EV of those is like 325, $350. And the market right now is 264, 265. So we'll see what happens there. But I can't imagine it's going to have the same impact as Bloomborough, where they just flooded the market. But what's interesting with the Bloomborough Commander displays, I think I mentioned last week that there's like 48 or 50 until we get back to 200. Well, now there's like 8 until we get back to 170. So then it's going to start to move because people are going to start to get the FOMO. bug and think they're missing out. So that's pretty much it for Magic. But yeah, I think Tarkir is just primed to blast off here. It just is because Hasbro sold all the back stock through Amazon. If you look at the video I did the other day on Tarkir, maybe yesterday, or just go on Amazon and look. They're selling 5,000 plus commander decks or commander displays, 4,000 plus each of the individual decks, and 5,000 plus of the collector boxes. So they're just selling it like it's going out of style. So okay, moving to Pokemon. So individual boxes, for the most part, are out of stock. I'm sure we're going to see a second wave of Journey Together coming. It's somewhere north of distribution price, like we always do. I've seen a one-off ETB here and there for Prismatic, some bundles every now and then. We'll see some bundles of Surging, but it's kind of it's kind of a slow period now. I haven't seen much of anything. So let's move on to the release schedule going forward. So we have the EV pouch, the most annoying thing that pops up on Target all the time. It'll pop up for 1 second, they'll post one, or it'll go away. So this is interesting. I think it's 5 packs and little EV pouch. I just can't wait to get it so I can never look at it again. We have the Lily's Premium, the little milk carton here, coming out on the 25th, and then we have the league deck things. Pokemon Slashing Legends tins. This is interesting because this should have Journey Together, should have Surging, and I'm guessing it's going to have Stellar, but who knows? Just don't know yet. And then we have the big boy, the Super Premium Collection, coming out May 16th. The distributors I've spoken to, they've all gotten haircut very significantly on this. I think one distributor I talked to got south of 3,500 of these for all of their customers. They couldn't give one per customer if they wanted to. So it's, I think, as I mentioned in one of my other videos, what it seems that a lot of the distributors are doing, especially with Pokemon, is they're increasing the threshold of spend to even be considered for allocation. So they're just taking that bottom tier of small customers out of the equation for some of the high demand items, which is, it kind of is what it is. That being said, I get this question all the time. If you are starting an LGS, first of all, don't. But if you are, or if you're in the process of ramping up, I highly recommend get your WPN certification with Magic, get your Pokemon Play or whatever it's called with Pokemon, and then get your Bandai organized play with Bandai. That will guarantee you product of all three products. Now, you're not going to get 600 boxes, but you might get 2 to 4 cases. So at least you can run events and you can keep the store moving as you're building. You're building spend in a base, but it gives you guaranteed product in a world where you can't get it, which is good. So battle decks, championship decks. So moving to May 30th, Destined Rivals, going to be a complete and total shit show. So we'll see what happens here. And then we have these other 2 boxes that just came out for order. We have the Team Rocket Mewtwo and the Garchomp EX Premium box. I assume the Mewtwo EX box is the same as the Hobzation, which is 4 packs, and the Garchomp EX is probably 5 or 6. I'm guessing similar to the Armarouge one that came out to distro 2-3 months ago. Don't know for sure, but that's pretty much it right now. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a quiet period here. Journey Together, it hit. The boxes are hovering right around 230, 235, 240 on TCG Player, depending on which booster box listing, which is the dumbest thing in the world because it's so confusing. And if anybody from TCG Player is watching, can you please ban anybody who's posting these Korean boxes at $50? It's the most annoying and misleading data point ever, because on the main page it's like, hey, look, this is at $50, and most people don't realize it's there. And I know you guys have been getting complaints for like a year. It's time. But I think people are going to start to look back once they get their fill of the set. And the cool thing about the set is it's like I said, the pull rates are almost identical to what they were with Stellar Crown. So people are getting the cards they want. They don't feel like they're getting ripped off. they're not paying $14, $15 for a pack of prismatic evolutions and getting absolutely nothing. So, the spike value is far more smooth than what it's been in any of those previous packs. And I did some math on it. I think, you know, if you picked a specific card that you wanted in each of the top four rarities, you have about a 1.7 chance, so 1 in 59 packs of getting one of those cards, which, in less than 2 boxes is pretty phenomenal compared to what we've seen in the last couple sets. So, but I think there's going to be a little bit of a renaissance in some of the older sets. And the reason I say that is, as we start to get into the middle of 2025, people are going to start looking at SV 1, 2, 3, 4 and say, we're probably at the end of the rope. We may get some some reprint going into the end of 2025, early 2026, but they're going to rotate out in March, April of 2026. I think Temporal has been grossly underattended. Nobody's paying any attention to it, and the set's really, really good. Stellar Crown's finally, where it should be. Quite honestly, a weaker set than Temporal. And then it looks like Twilight and Surging. People are just a little exhausted with it, with the price point, with the two sets. So I think some of the older sets are going to get some attention. I think Prismatic Evolutions is going to get some again. I know I saw a video an article from PokeBeach that came out saying that there's going to be reprints of ETBs. I'm sure that's going to come out with some sort of caveat because we haven't seen ETBs reprinted in 2 years now. I believe since the last, I don't know if they were reprinted with SV base because there was just so much of the product that you couldn't really tell if it was reprinted or not. But really, since the big End of Sword and Shield reprint with all the the Lost Origin, the Silver Tempest, all the stuff that we saw in big box stores. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm reading into that correctly, but it'll be interesting. So anyway, guys, that's it for this week. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, join the Discord, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.